everybody. Welcome. I am just going to be letting people in for a minute. Let's go ahead and get comfortable. Hi, Lizzie. Awesome. We'll get started in just a moment. Okay. We'll go ahead and get going. We'll just pause to let people in as needed. I'm going to put you guys in grid view so I can see everyone's lovely faces. Hi. Okay. Hey, Melinda. Hi, Peggy. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Rachel. Oh, hey, Louise. Oh, so nice to see familiar faces, new faces. Very cool. So some of you know me. Some of you know me, but not from Pilates. And some of us have never met before. So if we haven't met, hello. I'm Hannah. And I am the owner-director of Clarity Pilates, which is a little online virtual studio. And we really try to specialize in holistic stress relief and self-care through movement, which is why we're all here today. So I'll go ahead and give you a little bit of background about my story and how I came to teach Pilates in this very particular kind of way. And then we'll get into our bodies and move a little bit. So I was classically trained in Pilates at Atlas Pilates in Seattle by Lori Coleman Brown. And I have been teaching for 5 years. I've worked mostly with private clients, although I'm able to teach some group classes now, which is really exciting, and work with more people. But when I started Pilates, I didn't know anything about it. I was a dance major in college. I was just like, I need a job when I graduate. And the graduate students in my program were like, oh, you should teach Pilates. You should be great. You should teach Pilates or you should teach yoga. And I had already been doing yoga even in college, I'd already been doing yoga for about a decade. I have a really strong yoga practice. I really love yoga, but I felt very stagnant with that. And Pilates, when I tried it, I was like, oh, this is really hard. This is really difficult. Why is this so hard for me? And that challenge really intrigued me. And I was also dealing with a lot of injuries at the time as a young dancer. And people told me, oh yeah, Pilates will help with your injuries. So, okay, cool. Pilates it is. Went to learn about Pilates. And I think it was about, it didn't even take that long, about 3 or 4 months into it, my partner, Ian, was like, something is very different with you. Like energetically, I'm naturally like a little bit of a high strung person. Some of you have known me for a long time and can confirm this. And so he was like, something's really shifted with your energy. I was like, oh, really? Like, I guess it was so gradual. I barely even noticed it. I actually had to have someone outside of me be like, oh yeah, things are a bit different. But as I did it more and more, I started to see it too. Pilates really just took my baseline stress level and dropped it by a lot, which really surprised me. No one had ever told me that Pilates was good for stress. I had always been like, oh, you're stressed out, do some yoga. I was like, I already do yoga. I already do meditation. I already go to therapy, like all those things. And all those things are amazing. But the real thing that moved the needle for me was Pilates. And I just sort of wrote it off. I was like, that's weird, but cool, I'll take it. And I kind of just moved on with my training. But then as I started to work with people privately, I started to see the same thing happen for them. And I was like, okay, there's something going on here. And so I've been spending the past 5 years essentially trying to figure that out, and was really lucky that my mentor, Lori, understood where I was coming from. I could talk to her about it. And she was like, yeah, I think that there's a lot of these kinds of things. Joseph Pilates doesn't get quite enough credit for what a holistic system that he built. But if you go back and you read his work, he wrote some books. He talks about the body and he talks about the brain, and he talks about them in about equal proportion, which I think a lot, like the way Pilates is seeped into our culture, it's like, it's good for your core, it's good for back pain, 2 thumbs up. But we don't really talk about this other side of it, where actually Pilates was designed to strengthen the mind as well as the body. And so it's just an interesting thing to think about, like, okay, well, how did he do that? What in the system is creating those changes, and how is it doing it in a different way from the other things I was already doing, from dance, from yoga? And I kind of have picked up on a few key things. So Joseph Pilates was very ahead of his time in that he was really interested in the mind-body connection and the nervous system, which is like something that even now is a little bit, yoga is the only other practice that I know of that really has intentionally focused on cueing into the nervous system. And Joseph Pilates did it too, particularly through these repetition kind of rocking motions that we're going to go through today. So if you've done Pilates in a studio, you can think about what's the first thing we do in almost every session: footwork on the reformer. And you move the carriage out and in, and your body gets rocked almost like a baby. And it really just immediately brings everything down. And then this is one that'll be familiar to you if you've done any form of Pilates. What's the thing we usually do after the footwork? The 100. And this is where things usually, yeah, exactly, Melinda. And this is where things usually get a little bit more challenging. If you've done the 100, you know it's usually like a kind of exercise. It really fires up the core, but it does a couple of things that are a little bit more complex than that. So it fires up the core, which if you, we'll take it like a little out of the realm of Pilates, because I've told you guys I've done a lot of yoga and I like to find these connections. If you've done yoga and you know about the fire chakra, the solar plexus chakra, which is supposed to be the source of willpower and drive, right in the belly. So in yoga, when they're like, yeah, we need to like boost your energy, boost your willpower, they do core work, and Pilates is core work. So those two things connect. But the other thing about the 100 is that by design, it's a very strong sensation. And this is where I think Pilates really starts to differ from almost anything else I've experienced, except for Kundalini yoga, which is like a very specific little branch of yoga. Pilates intentionally creates intense sensation in the body, sometimes to the point of discomfort. Right? If you've done the 100, you know, it's not always super fun, maybe never fun, totally safe, but the body goes, whoa, that's a lot of physical sensation. And what that does is it pulls us right out of whatever mental treadmill we're on. When your body is like, whoa, hey, this is going on, and we give it that immediately like little literal gut punch, our brain sort of stops whatever script it's gotten stuck in, and we're in our body, we're in the moment right away. So there's a couple different ways that we can experience this in Pilates. There's a lot of different exercises, but sometimes the problem that comes up when you're in the middle of like a really, maybe even a minor panic attack, but you're just feeling, let's just say you're at like a high baseline stress level. I don't know about you guys, but when I'm in that place, I have very little mental resource to like make a shift or to do anything, right? I'm like very in my stress. And even if I know what I should be doing, I don't have a lot of energy, mental or physical, to actually devote to doing that thing. So even if I'm like, oh, I'm stressed out, I should do Pilates, that may or may not actually happen, right? So what I like to do is just introduce some little tips that you can use to incorporate this into your daily life. And then I've also built this kind of supportive system, which I'll talk about more later, that can help you incorporate these workouts regularly into your week so that you don't have to like think about it. You just know that it's there for you. So let's all move a little bit. We're going to start with something really simple. I don't know if she's here live. I know we have at least one person who signed up for this course who is 36 weeks pregnant. And so she is going to be sitting out of most of the movement portion, but even she could do this one. This is a really great way to get some of that little snap into our body and out of our brain. So what we're all going to do is we are going to reach our arms up overhead. Oh, and just that feels good, right? Let's just stretch our bodies and reach. Oh my gosh. I was going to go right into it, but this feels great. Let's all move for a second because this is really nice. Oh yeah. So this is accessible to you anytime, right? You could do this at your desk. I'm doing it at my desk right now. You could do it standing up. I think, oh, another person, let me let them in. Okay, great. And then you guys keep your arms up, but I'm going to bring mine down so you can see my hands in the camera. We're just going to close the fists, open the fists, close the fists, open the fists, but fast, right? We're going to do that up overhead. So we're still opening and closing the fists. And this is going to start to build some intense sensation pretty quickly. So we're open, close, open, close, open, close. really stretching our posture, really lifting our spine, and just notice that automatically you might start to take deeper breaths as the sensation starts to come into your body. And I'm doing this with you guys, so I'm right there in it. Open, close, open, close. Don't slow down. Make sure the fingers open all the way wide every time. And at this point, you should be feeling some burning, there's no other way to say it, in the arms. And notice how your breath is going to come in a bit deeper to support you in that. We're going to stay with this, you guys. It's going to be intense, but that's what we need, right? We need an intense little jolt to pull us out of our brain and into our body. We're going to be here for 10 more seconds. Keep breathing. Keep the hands going. Open, close, open, close. That's it. For 5, for 4, for 3, for 2. Now leave the arms up on 1. Let the fingertips splay open. Woo! Feel the tingles. Yeah, that's the right face for that, Rachel. And then you're going to slowly bring the arms down. And then just rest for a second. Just close your eyes. Take a breath. So that was about 30 seconds. And just notice how differently you might feel from before we went into that. So just take a moment. Feel that settle out. So that's just a really quick tool that I want to offer you guys. You can do that anytime. If you notice the brain chatter getting really loud, feeling stressed out, just get those arms up. Do it until you feel a nice, strong sensation down your arms, and then just relax for a moment, and you'll be amazed how that can just shift your perspective. Really, really nice. So now we're going to get into a super, super traditional sequence of Pilates exercises. This is optional. I know not everyone's in a place where they can move today. So if you are, please join. If not, I'm going to send you all the recording tomorrow and you can do this with me then. But for now, if you have room, go ahead and lie down on your back. Yeah, take a moment, get comfy. Great. We're going to start in kind of the classical Pilates rest or restorative position, which is on the back, knees hugged into the chest. So you can just give your knees a nice little squeeze inward. So, right, we're curling the body up. This is another nervous system thing, right? We're curling into almost like the fetal position on our back. And this just sends the signal to the body, you're safe, you're protected. It's okay to relax. And just take several deep breaths with this. See if you can breathe into your low back. You guys will remember we were talking about the 100 before. We're going to do it now, but we're going to break it down. So we're not going to go bang into the intensity. We already got that a little bit from our little hand flicks. So I want to give you guys a nice restorative version of this. So for now, let's all place the feet down on the mat. Great. So you're nice and supported there. And then you can just start to inhale on a count of 5. We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're inhaling, and then exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Really good. And then we'll inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Really good. Inhale 5. And exhale 5. Keep that going on your own. It can be your own speed, your own count, but we really do want to try to have those even inhales and exhales. Good. So we're kind of also giving our brain a little job to do here as we count the breath. It's another nice little trick to break it out of a stress cycle. Pilates has a lot of choreography. So you always have to think about it, even if you've been doing it a long time, just a little bit, you have to pay attention. And that can really help actually to kind of chill everything out, pull you into the moment. Let's take one more deep breath together, you guys. Inhaling for 5. And then exhaling for 5. Really good. So you're going to keep that breath going. I now just want you to lift your straight arms a few inches above the mat and start to pump them in order to count your breath. So it means every pump is a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Really beautiful. Keep that going. And if this is what feels good for you today, or this is all you want to do, please just continue with this. If you're craving more of that intensity that you felt when we flicked the hands, I'm going to give you directions on how to achieve that, but no, you only have to take it as far as you want to go. So if intensity is sounding good to you, you'll continue all of this while you bring the knees into the chest. Great. And then maybe you'll also lift the head to look into your belly. Really good. So this is sort of position one for that little bit of intensity. And then you have the option of extending the legs up and out on an angle. The lower this angle is and the straighter your legs are, the more intensity you're going to feel. Yep, so choose a level that feels good for you. We want to feel that intensity in the abs, not in the low back. So if the low back is talking to you, let's have the legs a little bit higher. Looks great, everyone. So keep this going. We're all going to take about 4 or 5 more deep breaths here, your own pace. Really good. And if the intensity ever builds to where it's too much, know that you have all those previous options we talked about to go back to. So you don't have to stick with your commitment. If you overcommitted a little bit, you can always back off. Really good. And we're all on our own pace with this. So let's say after your next exhale, whenever that is, you'll just hug your knees in the chest. Rest your head and return to that little rest position that we started in. Really good job. Take a moment. Take a little breath here. Notice how the pumping of the arms maybe also raised your heart rate just a little bit. So now we're a bit more energized and awake than we were before. And then everyone can sit up, feet planted on the floor. We'll go into an exercise that has that really nice rocking motion for the nervous system that we talked about. So your feet are planted on the floor, knees bent. They're going to stay on the floor the whole time. That part's important. Hands are going to hold right behind your thighs. You're going to round your spine and start to lean back until the arms are straight, and then bend the elbows, pull, and rock yourself back up. So we're keeping a round spine the whole time. We're just rounding, rock back, and then rounding to rock forward. Really nice. You can choose to go as far back here as feels good to you. I know if you're an advanced practitioner, you might even like to go all the way back to the mat. If you do that, you have to get back up though and keep it smooth. So good luck. Or you could keep this really small, right? The rocking is actually the most important thing happening here. The rocking and the round shape of the spine to open up the low back and deepen our abdominals, deepen our energy, deepen our willpower. Let's go for about 3 more. Looks really beautiful. Everyone's got a really nice rhythm. Make sure your breath is still flowing. On your next one, you can roll all the way back to the mat, and then hug your knees into your chest and find that rest position. Really good. So just in these first couple exercises, right, we've already increased our breath flow. We've pumped our heart rate up a little bit, and we've rocked the nervous system, all while building that sensation in the body. Now you can go ahead and plant both feet on the floor again. You're going to straighten the right leg up towards the ceiling. It's not important to me that it's perfectly straight. It's just going to kind of be in that direction. And then you also have the option of straightening the leg on the mat. So you'll have 2 straight legs. Good. The leg in the air is going to rotate out slightly so you can kind of feel into the outside of that hip. And then you're going to bring the leg across the body and then gentle circle down, around, and back up to the top. Good. 5 circles each direction like this, you guys. Trying to keep the pelvis stable so we still have a little bit of that fire in the abdominals to hold that steady, but the leg is making a smooth motion. This can be big and sweeping or small and controlled, whatever feels good to you. After 5, you'll stop at the top and reverse your direction, going the other way. Massaging into the hips and low back. And this is another one of those where like the brain kind of has a job to do to keep the leg going in these precise circles. So you can't really think about too much else while you're doing these. You're just in your body in the moment. When you've done your 5, you can hug that knee into the chest. Give it a huge squeeze. That should feel really good. A little stretch. We'll all take a couple of breaths here. Really nice. Take a moment, just set that leg down flat. Notice the difference between your 2 legs, even with just that little movement. Really nice. And then let's do the other side as well. So your leg can lift up towards the sky, slightly rotate it out so you have that stability of the outer hip. go across the body, down, around, and up, 5 circles. Really lovely. And then we can reverse that. Beautiful, everyone. After your 5 circles each direction, you'll just hug that knee, give it a nice strong squeeze, and stretch it out. Really good. Shake those legs out for a second. Maybe they'll both go long. Just do some little like windshield wipers, drum them out and see how they're feeling. And then you can sit up, and I want you to come towards the top of your mat just so that you have a lot of room behind you. It'll make sense in a moment. Yeah, good. So you're going to hold either behind the thighs or on the shins or ankles, whatever's kind of easiest for you to reach. And you're going to walk your toes close, close, close to you until they float off the mat and you're balanced in a little ball. Yeah, lovely. So just drop your head and balance here. Take a couple breaths. Notice that this balancing, right? It's another one of those moments where like there's just enough challenge that we kind of have to focus to stay balanced. And then I want everyone to just check in. Usually when I say round spine here, what happens is we all round our upper backs because that's the easy place to get round. But for what we're about to do, it's actually more important that you gently are rounding in your lower back. So see if you can find that really quickly. Really nice. And then your choice, if you just want to balance here, this is awesome. If you want to take this exercise to the next step, it's called rolling like a ball. So you're going to roll back to your shoulders and then see if you can come back up to balance on your booty. And you'll keep your chin to the chest the whole time. So the neck never touches the floor. You just go shoulders and then up to the booty. Great. So you can rock and roll if that sounds fun to you. And you can kind of feel, right? We're back in that little nervous system soothing pattern. Sometimes it's really easy to get a little bit obsessed here with getting all the way back up and like perfectly balanced each time. That's not so important to me, especially for our focus today. You just kind of want to rock and roll and have a nice even rhythm with it. Even if that means you kind of roll on your back like a stuck little turtle, that's totally okay. We'll just do whatever version's feeling good for you for about 10 more seconds. And this is kind of silly, so like you can giggle and have fun with it. Awesome, you guys. All right, in your own time, just come up and meet me back at the top here. And then you can plant your feet on the floor. Everyone can put the hands behind the thighs. You're just going to round the spine and roll back to the mat like we did before. And then you'll hug your knees into your chest and just give yourself that nice restorative stretch. Do a little mini body scan here. Check in and see how everything is feeling. I always notice after rolling like a ball, actually even just watching you guys roll like a ball, I get a little like little kid, like, woohoo, that nice, really light energy. Awesome. Let's take both hands to the right leg. And then the left leg is going to reach up and out on like a 45-degree angle. Good. Option to lift the head up. And then you're just going to switch the legs back and forth. Good. So getting into a flow with this, if your neck gets tired or your shoulders get tense, just put the head down. You'll still be getting all the benefits of the exercise. And every time you grab a leg, I want you to give it a really strong pull. So you get a stretch here. There will be abdominal work happening, but I want you to focus on getting that really juicy stretch. Yes. Let's do 2 and 2 and 1 and 1, and then hug both knees. Take a little rest. Head can go down. Nice, you guys. Deep breaths here. And then we'll do one more abdominal exercise. This one has the potential to be a little on the stronger side. So I'll give you the milder version first, and then I'll tell you how to increase the strength, just like we did with the 100. So you're going to keep one hand on each leg this time, holding both. Head will be lifted. So we're kind of curled up in that little fetal position. And then let's, to start, have arms and legs reach straight up to the ceiling. You're reaching straight up, and then you're going to hug back in. Very good. And you'll be hugging both knees when you come in, and when you go up, both hands will be free. Very good. And then continue with this, you guys. If you want to make it more challenging, you're just going to start to send the arms and the legs farther away from each other. Good. And let's keep the heels together as we do this. That's going to help you squeeze and find that strong midline. Let's go 3 and 2. Now see if you can go out and hold on your last one. Hold for 3. Hold, hold, hold. 2, 1. Okay, hug the knees, rest your head. Good job, you guys. Woo, take a moment. Maybe rock gently from side to side, just to release the low back. Really beautiful, everyone. Great. And then we'll do one final movement here. One of my favorite movements in Pilates called the spine stretch forward. So you can sit up, and if you have it easily accessible, you can sit with your back against a wall or your bed or the couch, whatever you sort of have handy. If you don't have anything, that's okay. You'll just sort of imagine there's a support structure behind you. We're all going to have the legs just a little wider than hip width. So it's a straddle, but a pretty small straddle, not a big fancy dancer straddle. We're going to reach the arms straight in front of you. Just take a second here and feel that nice lift of the posture. While we're here, let's do some arm circles just to kind of get into our upper bodies a bit more. Yeah, really nice, you guys. And just let that massage out any stress or tension you're holding in the shoulders. I know that's one of my body's favorite places to get a little grippy. And then let's reverse. We'll reach to the side and then press down the middle. Gorgeous. One more time. And then let's all meet with our arms reaching straight forward. So you can reach to the front of the room. Now listen really carefully. I want you to find really tall posture here. So you have a little scoop in your belly. You can feel the spine lengthening out the top of your head. Now don't change anything, but just dip your chin into your chest. See if as you do that, you feel your spine get a little longer. And then lift the chin back up. So we're going to move super, super subtle for this first one. We're just seeing if by dipping the chin, we can ask the spine to lengthen. Really good. And again, if that's feeling really nice for you, just stick with it. This is not a range of motion or flexibility exercise. It's about really just opening up the vertebrae of the spine. If you want to continue, you'll start exactly the same chin to chest. You'll find that sensation of the low back lengthening, and then you're just going to round forward to continue to open the low back more. Abs are super engaged here, so you won't go very far. Yes, and then your abs are going to engage more round and roll you up to the top. Great. So every time we'll be really precise. We'll get tall at the top. We'll just dip the chin to get that length. And then any farther that we go is just because we're getting a continuation of that stretch. Just do that a couple more times on your own and do it in a way that feels good for you. Listen to your body and kind of ask where it wants to be. Where is it happiest? Really nice, everyone. Go ahead and take just a couple more. Really good. When you're at the top again, take your time. Let's all reach the arms up overhead. And if you're against a wall, you'll just lean back into the wall. If you're against nothing, just imagine support behind you and get tall. And take a couple deep breaths. For 2. And for 1, let's bring the arms down. Roll the shoulders out a little bit. Great, you guys. So that's our movement for today. Just that little snippet of the Pilates mat. And you guys can really feel how each of those exercises has this subtly different effect on your not just physical state, but your mental, your emotional state. So let's all just sit quietly for about 1 minute. You could lie down if that would feel good for you. And notice how relaxed you can get here. Notice if your brain feels a little bit quieter. Yeah, things are a little bit softer in the body and in the mind. It's one of those tricky things, I think, too, which is why a lot of people love yoga, because it kind of puts us in this state, right? This relaxed state. But I find, especially for an at-home practice, it's really hard to get here without that little bit of intensity and energy boost that we get from things like the 100, like the hands flashing, because we have to get out of that stress brain first before we can fully arrive here. Take about 3 more deep breaths. Breathe into any part of your body that has remaining tension. Just invite it to let go. Really nice. All right, just ease yourself out of that. And then I would really love the chance to get to connect with you guys a little bit more one-on-one. So if you have any questions about anything we've talked about today, or you have kind of a question about Pilates, I would really love to open up the next like 10 minutes to answering those questions. So what you can do is if you have a question or something you want to chat with me about, just type your name in the chat, and then I can draw. I have my little pile of paper here. I'll draw a number, and whoever's name that number is, we'll have a little talk. So if you've got something, go ahead and enter it. You can take your time too. I know sometimes when I come out of that sort of workout state, I'm like, my brain's not fully like on yet. So if you need time to think of a question, that's totally fine. But when you have one, just type your name in the chat. Great, you guys. So as you start to type in, I'll start reaching for my numbers. We had 80 people sign up for this, so I did my numbers up to 10, but I think a lot of people are on the recording, so we may not have 10 questions. So if I draw too high of a number, I'll draw the lower one. All right, I got a number 1. Okay, let's see, who was, I think it was Lessa. Yeah, okay, so Lessa, go ahead and unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
I don't know that I have a specific question, but I have been dealing with a lot of low back pain. And I've also been needing a movement practice that I can do every day that isn't as, I used to be a runner, and I haven't been able to run recently because I've had a lot of chronic body pain going on, and that's been really overwhelming and stressful for me to deal with. So the title of your class today, Moving Through Stress, I was like, oh yeah, it sounds with precision what I need, like exactly. So I was just kind of more wondering about like, I also have a lot of like anterior neck tension and things like that. So for a lot of these exercises, we're raising our head. Is it okay for me to leave my head on the mat for more of the exercises? Because that's where I hold a lot of the tension, because what I do for a living involves me literally talking continuously for hours.
Totally. That's a really great question. And let's see, I'm getting a little audio feedback, Lessa, so I'm just going to throw you back on mute, but you can unmute yourself in a moment and we'll chat. But that's a great question. And I get that question all the time, particularly about the neck stuff. And there's a couple of things I want to share with that. And this is honestly easier to feel than it is to like intellectualize. So Lessa, you can try this, and anyone else who's curious about this can try this too. Go ahead and just lie down on your back and put your legs up in the air. Great. And they don't even have to be straight, but we're just going to be on our back with the legs elevated, and just get in a position where you feel like the neck can be like mega relaxed. And often, sometimes too, this can even mean grabbing like a small, like rolled up towel or pillow before class, so the neck can have a lot of support. That can feel super, super good. But let's just try to get comfortable as we are with the legs in the air. Now, I want you to lift the head up. And there's a couple strategies we can use if we want the head lifted. So you're going to lift the head, and then hands behind the head. Yeah, exactly, Lessa. That's perfect. Hands behind the head is a great strategy. You want to see if you can melt the head almost backwards into the hands so that your upper body strength holding this. Great. And then go ahead and rest that down. So that's one strategy. The other strategy that's really nice is if you want to leave your head down, what I want you to know, and everyone to kind of know, is that the neck can still get tense even with the head down. Weird, right? But go ahead and feel this for yourself by leaving the head down and slowly starting to lower your legs, slowly. And you'll feel there's a point there where even though the neck is down, it'll be a little a little seized up, a little tensed up, right? So lift your legs higher now to the point where you don't feel that. So if you have the head down, you're almost always going to want the legs in this kind of higher position, just so that it doesn't get that little tug, because often that tug that we feel is actually less from the head being lifted, although that contributes. It's from how low we've chosen to put our legs. So the lower legs are going to just put more stress on the whole body, right? Think of it like a lever, right? The longer and lower that lever goes, exponentially increases the weight that we're having to hold. So higher legs are really the number one thing I recommend for people with neck tension. And then also for your back pain, first of all, that sucks. I'm really sorry that that's been going on for you. It's brutal. I've been dealing with back pain for a long time. It's just like not super fun, especially when it interrupts the things you normally want to be doing. Pilates is super effective for low back pain. It's like the thing Pilates is kind of famous for. Like I think a full half of my private clients, like ever, which is hundreds of people at this point, have been sent to me by their PT or doctor because they're like, Pilates, low back pain, da-ding, check. And so it would be really interesting for you to try Pilates as a regular practice and see if it worked for you. I think that the main thing when dealing with any chronic pain or chronic injury is knowing that you can't push your body. You just can't do it. It's never going to end well. We all learn this lesson the hard way, usually many times over, especially as we start to feel better. We're like, I feel great. I could do more. And then we go too far and we set ourselves back like a month, and it is a major bummer. So yes to Pilates for you, I think. Yes to a daily practice, but with the caveat of you're going to just have to be like mega gentle with yourself. And I think that's one of the nice things about working with a teacher, even in a group class setting, is that your teacher can be like, hey, everyone, be nice to your body. And it's nice to have that external reminder. So let's see, Lessa, go ahead and unmute yourself again. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. Mostly I struggle with like making time for movement practice in my day.
Yes.
And like getting into, like, I've been feeling like I need to sign up for like a daily class, like 10 a.m. every day I do this thing, or whatever time the class is happening is probably fine. Because I can, because I'm self-employed, I can do it pretty much whenever, but
Yeah,
thank you.
totally. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. That's actually like such a beautiful segue into what I wanted to talk about. So thank you. Amazing. So that throws me into like what I can offer you guys for this as kind of an ongoing practice, if that's something that's interesting to you. If you've got some really nice effects from like our little mini version today, I have a few things that I'd love to offer everyone who came to this workshop. So the first one, which I think is really going to speak to what Lessa in particular is looking for, is I have a monthly, I call it a movement subscription, right? So you sign up once a month, pay ahead, and then you have access to a full month of classes. And that's up to 7 classes a week. They're happening anytime. We have some 7 a.m. classes. We have several classes midday. I know that 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock spot is like really a sweet spot for a lot of people. And then we have one evening class as well for those like 9 to 5ers who the early morning is like, brutal. And then the midday they're working. So we really have like little chunks of time that we hope can be as flexible as possible for your schedule. And what's really beautiful about it is that exactly like you were saying, Lessa, it's about getting that accountability of the live class, and like it's in your calendar, you sign up, it's there, and then the rest of your schedule will kind of naturally Tetris around it. So what I encourage people who choose to do the movement subscription to do is sign up for their whole month of classes at the top of the month, because then they're in there and there's no late cancel fee, there's no no-show fee. So if like last minute you're like, crap, I can't make class, it's fine. There's no penalty whatsoever, because we want to do everything we can to encourage you to sign up. The whole idea behind the subscription is that the more classes you take, the lower your cost per class. And so it's really just something that we've designed for you guys to try to make it as easy and accessible for you as possible. And I know there's several people in here who are already doing that, which is so great. And so I also want to offer that to anyone else who is here and thinks that might be a good fit for them. I have a week-long trial that you can check out. Normally it's $30, but for anyone in this workshop, I'm giving you a 24-hour 50% off discount code. So you can do the whole week, which is up to 7 classes for just $15 to try it out. And I will link that code up for you in the chat in a moment. And then I'll also be sending you an email after class, so you'll have easy access to that info. You just want to make sure you sign up in the next 24 hours before the code expires. And then the other thing that I am so excited to announce for all of you guys, this is the first time I've told anybody about this, so I can't wait to tell you, is that I am also launching a virtual movement subscription, which is going to be recordings of all the classes. This is really great for anyone whose schedule is crazy, or I know we have some people here who signed up from Australia. They're probably not here live because they're in Australia. It's like 4 a.m. or something ridiculous. But if you're in a really different time zone than me and my times don't work for your schedule, you can watch the recordings 24/7 access. And what we're going to do is build a library. So the longer you stay subscribed, just like the more material is going to be available to you. And eventually you're going to have access. I think I have like 30 classes to throw in there right now. So you're going to start with a nice big chunk. And then every week we'll be adding between 4 and 6 more classes. So it'll just keep growing. So you can do this if you're already part of my movement subscription and taking live classes. You can add this on, and that will just be a way to make sure, like, if you miss a class or if your schedule is wonky for a week, you don't have to miss your workouts. Or if you're someone who my regular class times don't work for, this could be a really good solution for you. So I am working on getting that launched. And what I'd like to do is invite you all to the pre-sale list, which is I'm going to just send you a little email once it's ready to go, and you'll get 10 days access for free just to try it out, maybe to help me work out any bugs in the system, right? So you guys can help me kind of test that program, and then you can also see if it's a good fit for you. So let me go ahead and throw both of those links into the chat for you, just so you can have them. And then I'll also be sending those to you guys after this, and also to anyone who wasn't able to make live class and will get the recording. So you guys are going to get this in your inbox sometime in the next, I'm going to say 3 or 4 hours. I'll be able to send that email. And then tomorrow, I'm also going to send you a recording of this class as well, and you'll have access to that for 2 weeks. So if you really liked what we did and you want to just do this again and see how it feels in your body, this could totally be a little daily practice for you for the next 14 days. Also, I know sometimes when we're absorbing like new information, it's just like we miss certain things. I know I'm always like, oh, what? And so it's nice just to go back and listen. You might absorb different information the second time around. So all that info for you. I'll be in touch with the emails, and thank you all so much for coming and being here live. It's so great to see you. For anyone on the recording, thank you for watching, and I will be in touch with you guys. Have a beautiful rest of your Friday, and I will see you soon. Thank you so, so much. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.